is good, YouTube? Welcome back into Offensively Accurate. You're probably going, Atlas, what are you doing streaming on a day that's not Monday at 6 p.m.? Well, listen, like I said on the last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, my wife is pregnant, so the content's going to have to be, it's going to have to get up. It's going to start making some more content. So I'm working hard on that too. I know another thing I've also been getting asked is to upload clips as well, because people can't, they don't have time to watch the full 2 hour show, or they just would prefer to get like smaller segments when I'm talking about one topic in particular. So I have done that. So for the last episode, not any of the previous podcasts, but the very last one, so episode number 23, I did separate some of the bigger topics out. I got about 3 videos out of it. And so it's probably going to be the MO from here on out, be my method of operation. A few things though. You probably read the title, AI Head Transplant Device. When I saw this, I didn't watch the whole video, but we're going to watch the whole video together. I wanted to just show you this dystopian level because it's so real. We are so close to being in these technological dystopian kind of moments where we have to make hard moral decisions about what we deem is right and what's wrong. Now, obviously, I'm going to come from the Christian perspective on that when it's on everything. Forgive me, I keep bumping the mic. But I know a lot of people will come from different angles on that when it comes to making moral decisions. And, the left is going to approach it mainly from a utilitarian aspect. I mean, there is some tenet of care and fairness in there that may distract from that, but they are generally a very utilitarian, progressive bent kind of movement or ideology. So the content will be coming. So let me just go ahead and switch over here. Let's go to the watch cam here. So here, this is my YouTube subscription, my subscription page right now. So there's 2 things with it, right? Start here first. Let's go to my channel. Just to show you, I made the top thing the past live streams, kind of like how Timcast does his. Essentially because the majority of all of what I'll be doing here is going to be on the podcast. So I have it set up like this. That way, when you come in to see the freshest stuff from me, you don't have to scroll past a bunch of, random things. It's actually kind of cool to see that my YouTube looks as proliferated now at this point. Also, but these are the previous ones, right? So I made these three videos. I was able to rip out of this podcast. It'll be the MO I follow from here on out. So once we get into fuller topics, that I can separate, 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, this one was even 40 minutes. I imagine I sometimes probably just talk a little bit too long, and maybe that's the issue. So moving on from this though, the next thing I wanted to go with the subscriptions was somebody, if you were in the chat or you were watching the episode last week or this past Monday, you probably saw somebody who was commenting quite a bit, and that is what in the world. What in the world is somebody who reached out to me. Well, I've reached out to him, I guess, on X. Vice versa. It was like a follow train, I believe. So he actually was commenting on the page. And if you want to reach out to this brother, he's a fellow patriot. He's got like 800 videos, more than what I got, 13,000 subscribers. And while I won't give out any ideas I have for right now, but just look for a possible collab between me and him. That's the goal that I have set out to. Obviously not more than just a goal, but I have some ideas working. I've been watching his previous stuff to get a better gauge of where his opinions may lie. I know he's a fellow patriot, so he falls in the general big tent conservatism. But I'd imagine because I am someone who's in the dissident right, there's probably going to be some points where me and him disagree on things to carry out. Maybe not though. Maybe I'm entirely wrong on that, but that's something we'll have to see. So just in a surprise announcement, if you will, look for that to be coming up in the future. Whether we do a Twitter Spaces or whether we actually do a live stream, I imagine what we will probably do, I will have him on Offensively Accurate. I'll get an outline scheduled up. And especially when it comes to the Harrison Butker stuff, some of the stuff we have both similarly covered, I think I'm going to group some of that stuff together, get an outline, put out some questions and points I want to go through with him, and then we'll get an episode together. Possibly, maybe even more. Who knows? It's too early to tell. But with that being said, I will get back to what in the world, because he did reach out to me, and I've reached out to him too, to get this going and make this work. Especially because it's a very classic conservative, like, don't panic, organized. And so, especially for somebody like me, like being able to like be on the platform of somebody who's got way more subscribers than me, that's a huge, a huge bump for me, a huge boost for me. So from my perspective, he's kind of doing me a favor just by, reaching out to me and kind of giving me a bit more light to be platformed on. So to move on from there, the only other question I had that's not going to be related to topical news was for you guys, the audience, and anyone who may be out there, because I'm somebody who I don't use TikTok. Like, I literally go to TikTok, I'll make a video, or I'll make a video, then go to TikTok, upload it, close the app. I don't use it. I actually don't enjoy kind of being on the platforms and or not being on the platform itself, because it makes me feel like I doom scroll quite a bit, and I don't want to be doom scrolling. I just feel like it's a general inefficiency. I'd rather doom scroll on X with a bunch of news and topical events rather than like get TikTok kind of like random nonsense. Or I mean, a lot of it's nonsense, but there is some good humor and comedy that can be found on there. So try to avoid some of that stuff though. My question being, if you do use TikTok, do you watch long form content on TikTok? Because I know that they've recently introduced a feature, maybe not recently, but they do have the feature now where you can post up to, I think, because it just unlocked for me, because I think I hit the follower count that you need for it. So I can post like 60-minute videos on there. So my question to you, and maybe I'll just like do it a couple of times. Do you think it'd be worth it, and would you watch it on TikTok if I was to post 30-minute clips, like the similar ones that I posted on the YouTube page from the podcast? And if you think that you would, you think it's worthwhile, definitely reach back out to me too. I don't think it's worthwhile because on my end, I don't see anything that ever pops up. Like in the For You page or even in the following and stuff, I don't ever see the long form content ever appear. So to me, it kind of feels like a waste of time, but maybe it's not. So just let me know, because it's a platform I'm very, very unfamiliar with. So moving on, make sure you subscribe, follow me on X, follow on TikTok, Spotify, share the show. I put everything, all my handles are now in the image display thing, except for Spotify. That is something I thought I probably should add in there too. Spotify with the offensively accurate, I would do that. But to get everything started here, one of the first things I want to go to is because whenever I see this clip, man, I just have to watch it. This clip is amazing. So let me actually go ahead here. It's like this goated Nick Fuentes clip, right? So it's him talking to Sydney Watson. And this is going to open up one of our first subjects here, because there is such a ridiculous amount of toxicity that's been happening when it comes to the gender war, the gender culture war, essentially, the male versus female. And I know I talk about this quite a bit, but something that's so foundational to like how the social fabric is like extremely determinate about like very small things, right? And so people don't want to talk about it or hate how toxic the conversations are. But if anything, like the average person has a lot more sway in the way that the family unit and the atomized social interactions between male, female, father, daughter, mother, son, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, like that's way easier. You have way more control over that. So when people sit there and say, just like ignore it, just pretend, and gonna give these like platonic, like indifferences about it, it's just like, that's so weak. It's like people can do very little about, with their one vote about the billions of dollars being sent over to Ukraine. There's a lot you can do in your personal life when it comes to fighting back against toxic things like the transgender movement, the ideological stuff, and especially like the crazy feminist crap. Like that's very easy stuff that regular day people can like just push back against. But this one's also in a similar light, right? So the previous episode that I did had the theme essentially where women are colonizing male spaces. Particularly when I'm saying that, it's a lot of it's to do with political events, but we're seeing it now in the parallel kind of peripheral spaces like video games. You really can't say like, and the other one would be like corporate offices and things like that as well. You're not going to see it like on the big oil rigs. You're not going to see it in construction sites, but you do see it in like, accounting firms and things like that, where the normal like male locker room kind of talk is now entirely demonized. It can catch you a sexual assault case, can catch you some kind of ridiculous charge, get you fired, at the least, essentially, if you're not going to end up getting fined or go to jail or get some kind of crazy allegation against you. But it's that once a woman is now employed in these arenas, the institutions will now bend the will in the environment to the needs and sensibilities of the women rather than the men. So where this is like not a big deal would be like just like going to Walmart or something like that, right? Like, okay, whatever, because women use Walmart just the same, and probably if not more than men, possibly, right? It's 50-50, gender neutral. But where it actually matters is where it is little fields that should be dominated by men but are no longer. For example, like the accounting firm, right? Like the accounting firm, why is there 60% male, 40% female. Like there should not be at all that many females. Now these are just random numbers, hypotheticals, but you're getting the gist, right? Because it's not like, especially when we're thinking of things like Twitter 1.0, all the engineering team pictures that you would see coming out of there, and it was just loaded with women, right? Then you get these funny ones with Elon Musk putting up these newer ones where it's like 13 people instead of 55 women. The bigger arena this has a huge effect is when it comes to the political pundits and political influencers, especially in the arena of politics. And this clip exemplifies it perfectly. So I'll just go ahead and pull this up, make sure the volume is okay, and then play it, because it couldn't get any more well explained than exactly this reaction and the way this edit plays this out.
Stuff that your people say, and they make it personal too. They're not saying you've got a shit. So many women you don't realize who really wants the best for men.
Again, you might alienate a lot of people who would otherwise.
And I simply don't understand this. Oh, let's sort of push women to maybe the corner in some capacity. Is that not problematic? I do know many of your views on women, which I find abhorrent. I'm going to be honest. I have to question what kind of a person who's had no experience with women is in a position to basically promote these ideas. He was a human being.
See, this is what I'm talking about. It's just sort of like this, like, don't you think that's problematic? Like, don't you think women like me are doing? It's like, listen, we don't have time for political correctness. We don't have time
It's not about being politically correct.
It's that face right there at the very end, man. That right there. This is the perfect way to exemplify what happens in political discourse when you're talking about the differences between whether 2.8 million people die or whether 3.4 million people die. Kind of similar to the great movie where it's like, you can't handle the truth, right? These aren't environments in which we can be giving time and caring about the way you said something, or the way it came off, or the way it made you feel when you said that. Because in the political arena, time, not just money, but time matters, right? Like there are people who are desperate, or whether it's with energy grid blackouts, whether it's with food needs. Like when there is a need, there's a sense of urgency, but urgency implies that there is a time scale. And this is not the only reason, right? But one of the most broad reasons that you can just be like, there's no room for this, is exactly where the way Nick said it, right? Like we don't have time for this, dude. Like this is like, we're not even talking about anything anymore. Now I'm just sitting here and getting lectured by a woman, like why you didn't appreciate the way I said what I said. And now the topic isn't about what we were talking about. It's about why women felt bad because man said X. And it just derails everything. And then you wonder why nothing gets done. I think quite literally, one of the easier ways you can explain a concept like this is when they talk about disrupting the network. And so with the cyber attacks in particular, right? When they're like, oh, this is a China cyber attack, this is a China this and this, right? Okay. So when you think about it on a scale, right? And you're thinking about it on the large macro demographic scale of every person who's working, who's doing a job, they got to go to this time at this place, go to this thing, etc. Okay. So say you get a cyber attack, but the cyber attack is that, the ATMs were shut down at these multiple locations. Well, on a big scale, some people don't even use the ATM, so it didn't bother them at all. But there are a good percentage of people who do use, whatever said ATM may be or whatever bank it is. But say, there's like, 1,000 of these locations of banks across all of America all at once just don't work. Well, then there's a percentage decrease in the efficiency and productivity of an entire nation, because now you had, on a rough estimate, this is all the big hypothetical again, but say that affects 650,000 people in the entire United States. It's not even 1 million people in the United States, but it's enough that it causes a percent decrease in all of their productivities for the day. And so their efficiencies drop because on a time scale, if you're looking at a macro, you just lost 2% productivity because 650,000 people had to take an extra 30 to 2 minutes to an hour to go get money or do what they needed to do because of that instance. Now, obviously, cyber attacks is one way to explain it, and there's many different ways that this can take form. But understanding the concept is the same. When these women constantly want to talk about the tonation of what an idea or a thought may imply over the actual substance and content of what the idea is bringing, is just like That is exactly what that is. And it's what I meant on the last episode, which I think I hammered that home too with the ghetto Congress stuff, which is like, this is what, like, you wouldn't be mad at Congress all you want. They're sending your money and doing this. Well, that's what they're doing when they're not sending your money to Ukraine, is they're arguing over like what each other looks like and who has too long of eyelashes. And you have AOC in the corner pretending she's black going, baby girl, baby. And it's stupid, right? It's so dumb. It's infuriating. Well, one of the easiest ways, and I'm not saying this is a 1-for-1, but one of the easiest ways I could think of immediately eliminating all of that would be to eliminate women from politics. It's not to say it wouldn't happen, because there's some really effeminate, weak, coward-made men that exist in politics now. But I think it would be a step in the right direction. It would kind of open the door for some eyes to be like, wait a minute, maybe some things are getting done. And sure, right, like men are going to scream at each other for things. But I made the point too, which is like, if the men are going to be screaming at each other, what they're going to be screaming at each other about is going to be like the content of their character or like actions they've taken in the past. All told, maybe with the current iteration of what men look like right now, you're not going to see a huge difference, right? But again, I would argue that it would be a step in the right direction to move towards eliminating the dramatization and the reality TV show nature of what the political arena is. And that's one of the benefits, and there's many benefits, right? But particularly with this Nick clip too, and when it comes to the Christian trad wives and the feminist nature, you can get rid of a lot of the subverting of what true patriarchy is, because a true patriarchy can never have a woman as a spokesperson. It can't. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense that way, right? And until you can kind of like actually understand the framing and how far away we are from being an actual patriarchal society, from the grassroots all the way to the top. I mean, I think for most people it's probably clear that it's a very gynocentric society, but just to make the point, like, it's not like we're a couple of steps away. I mean, like, we're very far and away, especially pair that with the fact where I just said that a lot of men are just like, they're just as effeminate as the females who are there sitting in Congress with. So who's to know that that singular instance of getting rid of women like that would cause a huge difference, but I think it would be a step in the right direction. But starting off with this clip, we're going to go into a couple other ones that are in the same exact light, right? So this is straight degeneracy versus left-wing degeneracy, but I frame it essentially as gay degeneracy versus straight degeneracy. And what I mean by this is exactly what you're going to see on screen here. So this is, and I'm going to try to crop it a little bit too, okay? Yeah, there we go, it's perfect. So if I move my big head out of the way, it says, Sydney Sweeney is out here saving the planet is a tweet from the Quartering. Now, the tweet from the Quartering, who is you would consider him technically, I guess, a center right in the current political spectrum. But this is what I mean, right? Like pushing right-wing degeneracy against the left as if that's a winning strategy. Saving the planet. So Sydney Sweeney's out here saving the planet by flashing her boobs. It just, like, it doesn't, and I would scroll down and see, okay, boom, bop, done. Like, I just don't even appreciate doing that on my own stream, because it's just like, I hate giving into the power of this garbage. This is a similar thread along with Calendargate, where they are pushing women selling sex appeal, but for the right reasons. And then if you oppose that, you're gay, you're an incel, you watch too much porn. I mean, give it a plethora of excuses, right? It's the go-to, right? It's the immediate denigrate the man's character in the worst way possible. And it's everything besides calling somebody a pedophile. It's anything that you can do to make a man feel lesser than in the stance that he's taken against the crap that he sees, particularly from a Christian perspective, right? But then that's when you get all the woke right stuff of people going like, oh, these people just want to have something to complain about. All these people are just as bad as the left. And it's like, dude, like, it kind of doesn't make any sense if you're conservative, but you're not conserving what conservatives are supposed to conserve. It's just this weird kind of proxy where the only reason you're on the right is because you knew that you weren't a crazy leftist, but in reality, you know that you can't push your agendas with the Libertarian Party, because like the Libertarian Party is just a dead third party in this country. So they pretend and they wear all the conservative they make up with zero of the Christianity to go with it. None of it, dude. So in fact, it generally, like, things like this is entirely reactionary. It has no basis in what Christians believe, but it's just a reactionary, like, well, as long as her tits are out, like, that's better than the prayer. It's just like, come on, dude. She's saving the planet. It's just one girl, dude. And we have countless of OnlyFans models. I can't open Instagram in public without the first video being some crazy girl who just has like, she's just wearing spray paint. That's saving the world. We already have enough of this, dude. And you just think because she's doing it and saying like, well, at least I'm not trans, like that saves this country. It's just these dumb, retarded ideas. And people post it because they get likes from all the other simple, low-minded, low IQ conservatives who are like, oh, yeah, we have a hot one. At least our trans people are hot. At least our trans people can pass. And it's just like, dude, it's so stupid. It's like, no, like there's no, trans should not even exist in a conservative person's thought. It all needs excised. But that's why I get these kind of crazy, like, I even from people who are in my own family, well, not my own family, but my wife's family, you think I'm a crazy extremist for saying these things, that I'm the extreme one. But they're the ones who, and I'm not, and I'm serious, like, and I won't put names on this either, and my wife understands the position I'm about to say. The opposite of love is not hate. It quite literally is not. The opposite of love is indifference. And in fact, every time I'm seemingly around somebody while I'm trying to push these ideas of like truly trying to be a Christian and not the one who just says they're a Christian, I'm called like, wow, you're an extremist. Or what do you mean? Or what do you mean you're talking? Like, don't, it's not, anytime I bring up black people or black culture, well, why can't we just all get along? And it's like, dude, no, my religion is not of indifference. My religion is not of multiculturalism. My religion is not of progress, dude. You know, it's like it, and it's just sad because it does put me in a position of like, I'm victim of my convictions, I guess, right? Where it's like, I don't even care how mad you're gonna get. I'm not backing away, dude. I don't care how much it may think that you're gonna sit here and say I'm an extremist or I hate people. I'm sorry. Ignorance means nothing to me. I'm sorry that the ignorance is there. But to take this stance when people are aborting, you know, children at 9 months, you have children who are being castrated, you have the Jeff Younger story, you have all these instances, you have the family court being as bad as it is. We're on the verge of World War III. The Iranian president, like, we can't even confirm whether the attack was legitimate or not. People are already saying space laser. And you want me to not care. You want me to be indifferent. Can't we just all get along? How? That's insane to me, dude. I come to you and I'm like, hey, they're killing babies. And you go, well, dude, come on, just get along, man. It's so weak, dude. It lacks conviction. And I can't stand people who go, well, I have gay friends, but I'm a Christian. Okay, why aren't you in their lives, like doing everything in your power to like push back against it? But instead, I bring up what my problems are with the gay community and the Christians attacking me. It's the same thread of like, oh, it's not what you said, it's the way you said it. Don't you think a gay person would feel bad if you said that? And it's like, my goal at the end of the day isn't that everybody feels good inside. My goal at the end of the day is, for one, that my soul is saved and that I know and love Jesus Christ. 2, that my wife's soul is saved and she knows and loves Jesus Christ. And 3, that my kids know and love Jesus Christ and they are saved. Without operating in this framework, you lose every time. You can't save this country on politics alone. You can't. We are in for a very, very harsh reckoning, dude, if people cannot wrap their heads around that. And the reason why is because the right will fracture. And what's going to happen, and this is my thought process. Let me put this on the big camera. I'll switch this around. I think my mouse might have died in a sec. No, it didn't. This is my prediction. And I've been pretty spot on with a lot of these right wing, the infighting and a lot of this stuff. So let me just hear me out. The people who are the woke right or the very, very hardcore Christian conservatives, the people, namely Sovereign Broad, Jake Shields, well, Jake Shields not really Christian, but those who are in that group who are pushing hard against the Israeli influence and the Christless conservatism, they're not going to bend the knee or compromise. You know, like the CCG Bryces of the world. Like they will vote or withhold their vote and stay exactly where they are. What I see happening is if the right can't get its optics aimed at Christ as the primary, it will fracture, and you're going to have those who are on the left-hand side, the Ashley St. Clairs, the Phil Labontes, the Tim Pools, they will fall into the Libertarian Party, and in fact, the Libertarian Party will then be able to vie against all of the Republicans. That's what I see happening, because to me, I can't see a difference between a Libertarian and an Ashley St. Clair who says she's conservative. Especially when you have a lot of these people saying, well, they just want to go back to 2012. I'll promise you, there was nothing conservative. I mean, it was more conservative, true, but there wasn't really anything truly Christian conservative about 2012 either. It was just less gay. Just like, is that's your dying fighting argument? Is you just want things to be less gay? I can't, man. I can't. It has no grounding in anything besides, like, we're just anti this wild progressivism. You need more than that. You do. You need a lot more than that. You need to have God, and you need the framing and the alignment of what it is that Christianity is, and believing in something greater than yourself and greater than just the ideal of what America is, because it's still here on this earth. Otherwise, you're going to build to nothing. And what I see happening now, this multiculturalism stuff, is we're building the Tower of Babel. It's all in the name of progress. It's all in the name of making the human species better. And it's like, to what end, right? To what end is that? That implies the Tower of Babel. That implies you're just going to continually stacking pieces. You're going to get one language. You're going to keep building your nice little the society until what? Until you're reaching God. I mean, that's the implication there, right? Like, you're just trying to improve the human race. To what end, right? It's not living for anything beyond what this earth is. And so to go on, there's many of these, right? So this is another big account too. What is this? Like 20,000 followers. Sydney Sweeney isn't that facially attractive, but she pisses off the right people and has huge knockers. So that's good enough for me to say she is. This is your conservative movement. Let me put it on screen. This is actually not a bad picture. This is your conservative movement right here. I just like the fact that we're just getting behind people just because it's all sexual, right? And it shows the hypersexualization of what the society is. But it's the same, it's degenerate. It's not Christian. Like, voting for, like, pushing a girl because you like her boobs isn't Christian, dude. It quite literally isn't. It's kind of creepy, to be honest. And like, it makes me feel a type of way when I'm seeing so many dudes who I would normally respect saying something about it. And it's like, aren't you guys married? It's like the third post I've seen you glossing and glazing what Sydney Sweeney looks like. This isn't how we bring the country back, dude. This is how you get more of a libertarian state, maybe, and fight off the progressives. It's not how you get this country to rally around Christ and actually truly begin to rebuild the country, to eliminate the ATF, eliminate the FBI, get back to marriage being the primary institution that people build their family. Like, none of that's here. I don't see any of that here. Like, in fact, this is the kind of stuff that denigrates marriages. I can't imagine many of the wives, the quartering's married. I can't imagine his wife, no matter what she says, enjoys the fact that he constantly posts about other women and what her boobs looks like. And maybe she does, man. And honestly, truly, maybe she is masculinized to the point in which she's left her feminine nature and she just doesn't care what her husband does. Maybe that's true. Or maybe she's just desensitized and she's been taking too much. And I'm not going to speak another man's wife, but you get the point. Any other normal persons, you would expect their wife to be like, dude, can you not talk about other women's boobs? Like, that makes me feel a type of way. That's not respectful to your wife, right? But again, these are all very basic ideas to me. But if I say these things out loud, I'm told that I'm the extremist. And it's like, dude, like, I'm like, it makes me feel like Harrison Bucker, dude. Like, I'm just reading from the Bible, man. It's just crazy. It does. It's crazy to me. And in this same thread here, let's just keep going. Yeah, here's some more of it, right? Here's some more of this Christless, I guess maybe not that, less so Christless, but this is in that same field. And this is a bit more of a white pill to see that we're getting a lot more people who are fighting against this stuff at a bigger scale in the prime time arena, you should say, in like Hollywood B-level celebrities or B-tier celebrities. But it says right here, UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell on vaccines and homeschooling. It says, I swear the UFC has the only athletes worth keeping. And so let's go ahead and listen to this, about 2.5 minutes long. But this is he was recently on, I believe this is the exact same fighter who was recently on the Twins podcast with the Hodge twins. And I believe this is the same guy who like ripped his t-shirt off and said he was going to fight Ben Shapiro over his stance over Israel, which is kind of funny, but I don't know too much about the guy, so I'm not going to sit here and like get behind him or glaze some random dude who looks like that. But anyways, let's listen.
Hey, I wanted to show y'all Tucker James. He's over 12 pounds now. He was born at 7.8 pounds. So he's very healthy. He's doing very good. I wanted to encourage y'all not to vaccinate your children because I think it's bad for their health. Could potentially kill them, give them some type of, make them autistic. I mean, seriously, these vaccines are poisonous. So don't vaccinate your kids. Tucker's also going to be homeschooled. We're going to have to homeschool our kids or they're all going to end up turning gay. You know, and that's the reason that I'm going to homeschool Tuckers, because I don't want him to be a communist. I don't want him to worship Satan.
So what I will say right here is I will walk that back. I think he is a bit more Christ-oriented than what I would believe to, or probably led you guys to believe. But I'm glad that he points out the Satanism aspect, because this stuff is demonic. There's truly, honestly, no other way to explain a lot of what's going on besides the fact that it comes from a Satanist point. It comes from pure, like, unadulterated evil. And he's spot on about the schools turning your kids gay. Let alone we talked about on the last episode getting bullied and all that crazy stuff. But no, it's more likely that your kid is just going to turn out to be gay, and what he'll be bullied for is he's not gay enough.
I don't want him to be gay. I'm going to have to homeschool him. Now look, guys, out of the public schools, they've took the most valuable book of all time, which is the #1 selling book of all time. The oldest, most accurate historical document that there ever was, the Bible. They took it out of the schools and they replaced it with Edgar Allan Poe, who's shacked up with his cousin, okay? My son ain't going to be reading no Edgar Allan Poe, okay? He's going to be reading the Bible. That's just how it is, and I'm just telling you, if you don't teach your kid these things, he's going to be fed right to the devil, okay? So we're not going to let that happen here. And actually, when I was at the hospital, they said since I didn't want to do a PKU, which is where they draw blood from the kid, they poke them with the needle and draw their blood and then test their blood. I didn't want to do that. And I told them, I'm not doing a PKU. None of that's going to happen. You're not sticking this kid with a needle. Then they told me that the DHS was going to come and investigate me, had rights to take the kid, all of this. They threatened me with violence from the government, basically. Now, they said, what do you think about that? And I said, well, that's all right. I'll be dead. They said, what? I said, you heard me. I said, I'll be dead. It will be a cold day in hell when somebody comes try to take this baby from me. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care if it's DHS, FBI, CIA. I will be dead before anybody lays a finger on this child without my consent. And so that's the kind of passion it's going to take from parents. And if you're not ready to do that, to go to that extent and protect your child, you shouldn't have a child, because I will die for this child.
Honestly, amen to that. Entirely amen to that. I honestly thought he was a bit less Christian oriented than I was led to believe. But like, I mean, that's 100% correct. This is what I meant in the beginning. Like, this is the stuff that you can fight against, right? Less so with what you can do with your vote, but a lot what you can do with your mouth and your words and your actions. Like, stop being such a scared little person when you're forced with like a hard decision when it comes to the vaccine and the way that, you know, the child's being handled. And then that's part of the, honestly, like the masculinity that's lost. And so it's no surprise that the UFC is like a hot spot for these dudes, right? Because in the UFC, these dudes are getting slugged in the face. They don't care. That's how they make their money. So, I mean, it makes sense that the most masculine guys are the final lone bulwark that are standing up against this ridiculous garbage. And he's right, dude. Like, if your conviction doesn't land you in a place that you're willing to die for, I truly don't believe that you hold that conviction. It's not a conviction to me. And that's where honestly I find a lot of my large anger and frustrations coming from, is when it is among the Christians, the so-called Christians, who will have an issue with the way he talked in this video. Like that's honestly, like, I'm honestly like less angry at all the leftists who push the same insane degenerate stuff, because it's like I've grown to expect it. What I really cannot stand is someone who says they believe in the same creed as me, they believe in the same God as me, and they will break bread with me, but they will stab me in the back to please the public perception of others. For what? For what? Your public perception matters more than random children being slaughtered in the womb? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Forgive me, but like no, dude. I'm sorry. Like that's just the way I feel. Like, I mean, I will fight tooth and nail with you on everything. And another thing that I did notice too, especially when it comes to like conversations as well, like I'm beginning to get to a point where people are just beginning to avoid me altogether when it comes to subjects like this. I'm beginning to think I'm getting to a point in where like I can eviscerate a lot of the arguments very, very quickly. And I'm beginning to be somebody where they are being faced to look in the mirror when it comes to certain ideas and topics being brought up. Truth be told, I couldn't care less. You know, like we watched Candace Owens get knocked out of the Daily Wire because she said Christ is king. It's like I told you then, man. Like I found my line in the sand. I will not move from this point. YouTube, come and get me. Anybody, you know, it don't matter, dude. Like, and I don't even want to be talking like that either. But the point being, man, if you can't draw a line in the sand like this guy did and take this harsh of a stance as he did, I truly think that you need to re-look and have an internal talk with what you truly believe in. Because if you think this is too far, I think you need to get back into the word. I think you need to like honestly do some soul searching, because I'm going to be the heavy hammer, right? So I'm going to be the person who's like the CCG Bryson, where I'm going to be blunt and just ruthlessly honest with you. And that works for some people. It doesn't work for others. And so I think some people just got to find that person, that one that can speak to you, that can just be like, hey, what people care about you is not the end all be all, you know? So moving on from there, this is what we're looking against, right? So then we just seen, not this video, but the previous ones with Sydney Sweeney and the calendar gate stuff. So that's like the right-wing degeneracy. Poor, but not the worst, because we have stuff like this, dude. This is a perfume ad from whatever random perfume company. It's called Joephoria. And it's two gay men. Two men dressed up like women. I'm not going to play the music because you don't need to. But just here it is, man. This is disgusting. But it's nonstop. It's nonstop. It's like every ad I see on TV, and it's just the same thing people have been complaining about for the longest time. But it's clearly getting a step-by-step worse. Dude. Oh man, copyrighted. It's just, look at all of this degeneracy stuff, man. But this is who these so-called Christians will tell you that you should watch your tone with, while they're actively leading children down a path directly into Satan's hands. Just look at this, man. And you want me to be indifferent towards this? I mean, dude, it looks like the perfumer designed just like a butt plug too. Like, that's just ridiculously sad. And I don't even want to be looking at that anymore. But again, what's this? Another one of these stories? Married high school teacher, 33 years old, who found fame on whatever GMA is jailed for 13 years after having sex with a male student in her home, car, classroom, and on a field trip. It's just, man, dude. It's like I'm telling you, dude, it's once a week I'm getting another one of these stories. I'm getting another ridiculous story of another married woman who's like decently young. I mean, I guess 33. I mean, I would say that's decently young, especially when you're thinking of the average age of people get married now. And here you are. This degeneracy, dude. But this is like the rat utopia, sexual degeneracy, hypersexualized society, and we're seeing the tail end of it. Again, I'm going to say that again. It's gross, dude. Like, public school is a cesspit. It is where it's where purity goes to die. Honestly, man. And you think this stops when you cheer on Sydney Sweeney's boobs? I mean, come on, bro. Give me a break. You think that this stops because all these husbands went and bought calendars with half naked female conservative commentators? It doesn't. It doesn't. You're missing the mark, right? And again, the 17-year-old probably honestly didn't even care. Like, he probably didn't even care. That's an age where he's up to that point where he knew what he was doing. I'm not even going to give excuses to the kid. But still, though, we had other ones where it was like a 5th grader and a 4th grader in other instances. Like, that is degenerate, like capital degenerate. Let me go ahead and claim out some of these tabs and move on. And here's more of it, right? Look at this. Germany just voted to lower the penalties for child porn, making it a non-serious crime. Now, he says this will be pushed in the US next. It's already being pushed. When you see all of the insane amounts of drag shows with cops who are protecting the drag shows, preventing anything from happening, when you see all of these parades, be it whether it's in LA, Philadelphia, Chicago, and it's a bunch of naked old men or naked people twerking. I mean, you have some walking like dogs, doing all the things that you should never see on Pornhub in public, and it's not being criminalized. It's not being like that push was already here. They're already kind of warming up the waters to getting this degenerate pedophilic push. And it just goes to show that these efforts, all of these efforts to rally around these Christless conservative people who just halfway say something that like you agree with, whether it's the Kid Rock Bud Light thing, or whether it's, with the Calendar Gate stuff, like all of this stuff is clearly missing the mark. And it proves that you're just fighting a losing battle. No amount of putting a bunch of money into funding things like a new beer that's not Bud Light, or funding a new anything that is just a simple parallel to what the left is doing, but still lacks the foundational and ecclesiastical foundation of Christ, or an orientation at least towards being of the Christian faith. It won't move the needle. It is the definition of like, slow down there, Democrats. It's just all you are being a speed bump, right? Because degeneracy, it rolls down the hill like a snowball. And you see it with the slippery slope with the gay movement. We've seen it's done countless amounts of damage to the psyche of people, to the way that we kind of operate when it comes to class kind of ordeals, especially because you can't talk about them this way, you can't talk about them this way. And it kind of really just like, it put the sensibilities and the political correctness into hyperdrive. And then you get all these ridiculous instances of somebody saying something completely right, but because they were like yelling it, it's like, that's why they're wrong. It's not even because they said all these things that was entirely correct. It's because they yelled and they were too mean. And it goes, and again, gynocentric. We can't be living in a gynocentric society like this. We will perish. It is unnatural. It is a perverse imitation of the way things are actually supposed to be. And I'll leave you with one final one before we move on to the next topics. This disgusted me. Absolutely disgusted me. Now, this caption is good because Elijah Schaefer says God is his hell. But really, the best caption was, "You're rage bait today, sir." Because this one was just like cringe, but just like sad. But there's a little bit of like just anger that happens because it's like, why are they like this, dude? I want them to not be like this. So let's go ahead and watch. It's only 15 seconds long.
Well, I have the worst anxiety, I have the worst OCD in the entire world. Like, I'm on meds for it. But
Oh,
like,
I have OCD too, and I'm on meds for it too.
what meds?
Lexapro.
Prozac.
Cute.
Well, I've
That, right. So again, that to me is like that might be honestly be the worst 15 seconds of anything I've ever watched. Extremely feminine, extremely gay. But if anything, it's just like androgynous, dude. It's so androgynous. It's like very dystopic. Like the man, like even if, let me just go here. We should put it back on camera. Even the woman is kind of like, it's just odd. Like everything about it is just very modern day. Now I'll take it back on the woman a little bit. She looks a bit more natural, right? But the eyes and the makeup there is clearly. But the guy, dude, like his face is blush. Maybe he's got something going on. But it's just like typical gay guy. Typical gay guy. He checks all the boxes. And again, this just goes to show, like, again, I'm pointing this out there. No amount of you clapping for Sydney Sweeney to have her boobs out while she says, well, at least I'm not gay, stops this. I'm for real. It just honestly, it gives a target for people to come after. Right now, people are gonna just go after Sydney Sweeney, and then eventually she'll fold and she'll be like, well, actually, like, I don't really mean any things, because she doesn't actually hold any of the Christian convictions. She just likes to do whatever makes her money. So if the conservative groups begin to like not make her money or give her support, she'll probably go back to what will give her money, unfortunately. So to move on off of degenerate culture garbage, let's go in a direction that's got a bit more sustenance to it, okay? Joe Biden pooping his pants again. I don't know if he pooped, but a funny thing I did want to say was like volume warning. Volume warning. This is hilarious, though. We're going to watch this in its entirety, because when I saw this, I was like, there's no way. But let me just read this clip here. Let me just read the title of this. Biden's most embarrassing clip ever. Joe Biden unwittingly farts out loud. Observers can't stop themselves from laughing. However, Biden is so oblivious, he just turns around to salute the room in response. Leader of the world, free world, my ass. Let's just take a watch of this, man. That dude is so uncomfortable. That dude is so uncomfortable. Hold on, let me adjust this up. I'll blast my volume up. That way everybody can hear it. We'll do it one more time. So I don't think my volume is correct on this. Now, to be fair, it does sound like a door is opening. But even if this was a fake video, right? Which I don't think it is. I'm going to take the person's word for it. He's just like, a loud sound. He's like panicking, dude. Loud sound. Look at those eyes, bro. Look at those eyes. What's happening? Panic. That guy is gone, dude. The guy is completely gone. But the more substantial news that's about Biden is this. Biden is not slated to be on the Ohio ballot in November, and state lawmakers didn't bother to fix the issue. Tim Pool simply goes, what the F is going on? And I couldn't even tell you what is going on. I have no idea. I saw this months ago, and I assumed they were going to adjust it, but I guess not. This is from Nick Sortor. Just in, Joe Biden will not appear on the Ohio ballot in November as of right now, according to the Ohio Secretary of State. The Democratic Party has refused to follow state law requiring both parties to officially nominate their presidents 90 days before an election. Democrats aren't doing that until 75 days prior. And now, since the legislature has adjourned, the law cannot be changed, and Secretary of State Frank LaRose cannot make an exception. This ought to be interesting. So apparently, so what this is reading, right? The party's refusing to follow the law, requiring both the parties to officially nominate the president 90 days before. The Democrats want to do it 70 days before. But if this is correct, the only way that they would be able to do that, to get him on the ballot, would be to literally cheat. Oh, forgive me. So if the legislature's adjourned and the law can't be changed and the Secretary of State can't make an exception, I can't think of what other possible way this may be done. Now, what's hilarious is even if Joe Biden's not on the ballot, he'll still somehow get 4 million votes. They'll find a way. I'm sure they'll find a way. How, some way, somehow. Still have some kind of millions of votes. It's something to keep an eye on. But I think with news like this, it kind of makes me think almost like they gave up. Like the Democrats just couldn't run anybody. You know, Gavin Newsom just doesn't have enough charisma or firepower. Kamala Harris is too hated by everybody. Michelle Obama is a man. She can't speak in public. She'll get annihilated. You can't run Obama back. Pete Buttigieg is gay and he's hated almost just as much as Kamala Harris, especially when you had all the crazy stuff with these Palestine and all and like for 1 year, all that crazy DOT stuff that happened. And so when you think about it, they got nobody to run. Anybody they put in there, it's going to, what's the word? Kind of sour their name, right? So say they don't go with Joe Biden, they want to nominate somebody else randomly, but like going against Trump this late, they're not going to win. And then you kind of sour their name. So you put them in the running and then they lose. And so now they're not going to be seen as that good of a candidate. No, because especially because people can't think of things in context, right? Like if you understood with context, it'd be like, oh, well, like they were clearly running against Trump, da da da. But again, you have to operate your political party, especially in today's day and age, operating to the lowest IQ voter or the weakest link. And that's what these people do. And so I thought it was funny to see this kind of confirmed alongside the Cenk Uygur tweet from the Young Turk saying, and he said, Trump is winning. Buckle up, folks. I think that they gave up. I think that they know that it would be too mask off to allow Joe Biden to win again, because it would just have to be such an insane amount of I would imagine, like, what's the word? Fortifying the election, is it to get it that way? But it's good news, I think. I think it's great news to kind of show that no matter what Trump really does, I think it's kind of secured the presidency. It's kind of like the longest or the shortest, either way. We barely had any primaries. We already knew it's going to be Joe Biden versus Trump. And then they get this and such like a lame duck candidate, such as Joe Biden, who can't speak. It makes me wonder, why are they running the debates then? But then I thought maybe the debates are like, they're going to take all of the help and assistance and support they're giving Joe Biden, and then they're just going to leave him on his own. They're going to like walk out there, Joe, and he will absolutely make a complete fool of himself in 2 straight debates with Donald Trump, just skyrocketing support for Trump and eliminating any light amount of support for Joe Biden. Because when you're faced and looking in the mirror of a man who is only capable of speaking 8 words in a row if he has, 2,000 milligrams of Adderall, you can't vote for that, no matter how progressive you might want to be. So maybe that's the point, right? Maybe they just like that's how they will eliminate their candidate, right? By like walking him out like that. Just a thought, but I think it's great news, honestly, especially looking at it and from someone who's from Ohio. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear all of the crazy local people around this area who are mad that they only can vote for RFK or Trump. Which, to be fair, I don't even know if RFK is going to be on the ticket or as of right now. There might be a few different libertarian people who are going to be on the ticket. Clinton Russell being the VP for being one of them, he'd be a more worthy vote than Joe Biden. That's for sure. That goes without unquestioned. And that's kind of it for the Ohio stuff. I haven't really seen any other updates beyond this. You even have Gunther Eagleman coming in here in these in the comments here saying he's going to lose either way. They hated him up there. I don't really know about that. Ohio's pretty purple. Yeah, you should hear what the people of East Palestine, Ohio, have to say about Biden. It ain't pretty. Like, yeah, you nuked us with a chemical bomb from a train and then left us to die. People refuse to talk about that. That and then the Maui fires are like 2 things that like the news cycle refuses to talk about. Like it won't not be in the news cycle. Saying they're panicking, trying to find a substitution. Yeah, they're definitely setting this up to potentially swap Biden out at the last second. That's why the debates are so early. Honestly, I'm wondering. Maybe they pull out Oprah. They pull out the Oprah card. They could honestly run Hillary again. Could. I don't see any of these as being a winning strategy, though. No way. So it's the Dems' own fault. After what they did with trying to prevent Trump being on the ballot, this is priceless. It's 100% their own fault. They think they're above the law, as always. Yeah, and this is I think in Big Mike ready to be activated. I don't know, man. If you have an idea, I mean, who do you think would be the possible candidate? I don't think any of them have any steam, to be honest. And if I was to fear any of them, it might possibly be a return from Hillary Clinton, just because they might bank on the fact of how just gynocentric and feminist the society is. Like, it doesn't matter how many people like dislike her, she might still be enough. I don't know. I don't see them having anybody. I just don't. Not unless they literally walk Taylor Swift out. If they walk Taylor Swift out to run against Donald Trump, like, that's the only thing I can think of that they would possibly have in the bag that could win. And remember, you heard it here first. I said this a while ago too. Like, I think Taylor Swift is a realistic possibility. They pull out and they're like, hey, run Taylor Swift for president, guys, like last minute. Because my point I made at Donnie on one of our episodes was she already had her campaign. She campaigned during the NFL season, you know, by taking stances and having her nice video where she's crying with like her family about like why she has to vote for abortion and that, you know, and she does really well with subverting Christianity too. She's actually spot on with that. She actually did, she talked about how Tennessee Christians believe in abortion or something along those lines. Because somebody made a post about how no Tennessee Nashville person believes in abortion. Then, you know, Taylor Swift's got to come in there and be like, actually, we do. We love abortion. So that's my guess. That would be my guess. If you would expect any kind of flip out towards the end of this, and Joe Biden's going to get swapped for any candidate, I'm going to put my money on Taylor Swift being that person. But to move on, let's go. I actually want to go to the breaking stuff because I saw this shortly before I went live. Andrew Klavan confirming on a sit down with the trigonometry people on their podcast, I believe, confirming that Candace Owens was fired from the Daily Wire for saying Christ is King. So I'm going to pull this up here. This is from Censored Men, and they covered this originally with their quote tweet. So let's go to the quote tweet to get the whole story here for anybody who was missing some information, right? This is a bombshell leak, okay? Candace Owens, man, my head is so big. Why is my head so big? I'll move this a little bit. I'll make myself smaller, right? That's perfect. Okay. Bombshell leak, Candace Owens is fired for saying Christ is King. 4 Daily Wire employees, all Christians, have approached me, you know, Censored Men account, and leaked information about an impromptu town hall that Jeremy Boring hosted on the day of Candace's firing. Jeremy Boring, who's the CEO of Daily Wire, sent an email to all Daily Wire employees inviting them to an impromptu town hall in Candace Owens' studio. The town hall was led by Boring, with Andrew Klavan repeating many of the same corporate talking points on his own show the next day. The 4 employees that came forward told Censored Men that the town hall attempted to brainwash the employees who were present into believing that Candace was, in fact, an anti-Semite. They view it as an extreme form of damage control to scare and prevent employees from speaking out against Owens' firing later that day. The feeling was that they didn't just want her gone, they wanted everyone to hate her like Ben does. That is a statement from an anonymous employee from the Daily Wire. And the subjects that they brought up during the town hall was that Candace's repeated use of Christ is King was anti-Semitic, that a clip of Nick Fuentes chanting Christ is King was played to kind of like to show that there's like some kind of connection or correlation to what Candace was doing with Nick Fuentes. A clip from Candace, who was on the Fresh and Fit podcast, where a ka-ching sound was played in the background, like what she has no control over. Like, this is probably Myron or Fresh who's just pressing buttons while they're talking about things. Like, yeah, wow, she has so much control over that. And then obviously some clear and bitterness from the attitude from between Ben. And there was also some leaked audio that had been out from before this where, you know, Ben's essentially kind of tearing apart Candace Owens. And they clearly didn't like her, right? So they refused to come forward. You know, even Jeremy Boring was like, no, she wasn't fired for that reason, da-da-da-da. And they wouldn't talk about it, right? But everybody knew it. This is why she got fired. Well, this is Andrew Klavan confirming this. So the Censored Man goes on to talk about the tweet I just went through. He confirms it. And the way he says it is it's just arrogant, is the way that I would put this. But look, don't let me say it to you. Let's just watch this.
And ever since, I've been the target of what they call the Groypers. I just call them Nazis because that's what they are. There were things going out over our air that she was saying that were being at least received, I have to say, as being deeply anti-Semitic. So that Nick Fuentes, who is a virtual Nazi, I mean, there's no space between him and what a Nazi would be saying, was praising her to the skies. If Nick Fuentes praises me to the skies, I go out and say, no, I'm not on your side. I don't know what you mistook, but there was nothing coming back. And so it was becoming uncomfortable to be on the same, station, the same venue where that stuff was coming out. And
Was frustrating to be on the same venue where that stuff was coming up. This is the same company that sits there and goes, well, yeah, you can have different opinions, man. Like, we're the free speech company. We're a free speech platform. And then here's Andrew Klavan saying, what Candace Owens was saying made me feel unsafe. Like, come on, dude. What a bitch.
So without ever having any kind of personal animus toward Candace, or even knowing what it was she intended, I'm not even saying that was, how she intended it to be received. It simply became impossible to have a good feeling about this place that I helped build and that I love very much and that I'm very proud of, as an entity. And it was very painful to have that kind of stuff coming out over the air. And I did not want Nick Fuentes. I don't want Nick Fuentes' praise. I don't even want, I don't want him to have a happy day because of anything that I said. And so that was my basic reaction. And in that was involved the fact that some of this was being phrased in religious terms. And one of the ways this was happening was the phrase, Christ is King. Now, as I said repeatedly on the show, as Jeremy Boring, who runs the Daily Wire, said repeatedly, we believe this. We believe that Christ is King. I also believe in the cross of Christ. But if you burn the cross on somebody's lawn, it's no longer the cross of Christ. It's just a vehicle, a symbol of your toxic hatred. And so the way it was being.
Okay. So, yeah, they're right there. Toxic hatred, dude. That's the reason why she was fired. It's because Candace Owens was using Christ as King because she just had to exemplify her toxic hatred towards Jewish people. What a joke.
Used online as an attack on Jews,
An attack on Jews. I mean, this is insane stuff to me because it's like the Jews literally killed Christ. And that's where so much of this is just culminating with the HR 6090, the Israeli influence, the AIPAC. I mean, dude, AIPAC just was boasting about how they were going to get Thomas Massey primaried out because he was unwilling to take 100% alignment with their stances. Insane stuff, dude. Everybody knows that Candace Owens was beginning to talk about things that the Daily Wire did not appreciate, which was the influence and the outward push that the Daily Wire has to be Israel first over being America first, particularly when it comes to the eschatology of religion and how unwilling they are to navigate said topic. This is one of those things where if you don't actually have a actual read up, or at least at least a 2-inch depth understanding of what the Bible says and the actual order of events and the logic of these things, that you would fall into the trap of believing in the Judeo-Christian framework, which is just a bunch of hogwash. It's made up. Poof, fairy tale, poof, nothing. I mean, it literally means nothing. You don't believe me? Go look. It wasn't even being used until the 1940s, around the time the state of Israel was created. They're not connected. Judaism does not. They're not the same things, right? Oh, nice. I got a super chat here from Titan. It says, the elite are so desperate for sin, insulted by truth. God help us. Just stopping by, though. We'll have to catch a stream later. Hey, I appreciate it very much, Titan. Would love to have you. Subscribe, do all the like. I'm trying to make more content out, too. I normally was only doing this once a week. I'm trying to do it a lot more than that. I do appreciate it very much, man. Thank you so much. But 100%. Very, very desperate, right? Extremely desperate. And that's why I was making all these points, where it feels like this kind of curse is been lifted, where this curse, it seems that the mask is so ever been pulled off. And it's so much easier for me to see these things are very, very openly, not just degenerate, but clearly satanic. I mean, particularly when you think of how many celebrities, right? It was like, there's that big list, and it was like Sam Smith. I mean, Taylor Swift was doing it, Kendrick Lamar, over and over and over and over and over again. Painted red, covered in blood. They're doing devil horn dances. They're doing, they have all these satanic imagery. It's very clear, like, who they worship and where that frame is coming from. And not even just that. I mean, you have Kendrick Lamar and Lil Nas X, both in different ways, but directly portraying themselves as if they were Jesus. Now, Lil Nas X did it with the crucifixion in some kind of crazy weird video where it was like a gold cross. It was all CGI and animated. But Kendrick literally put on a crown of thorns. And I don't know if it was for just an album cover or if he did it for a stunt. I just remember the photo existing. And it's very clear that it is an attempt to mock what is the truth, which is God and Christ. And so to me, it's, especially with the Daily Wire, who was somebody who I wanted to desperately support, and then October 7th happens, and then I get my eyes opened by people who are smarter than me, who are more plugged into these things, whether it's people who are like Jeff Younger or Sovereign Bra or Nick Fuentes. It opens my eyes to be like, wait a minute, they're right. What is all of this insane level of just complete deference to another country that we should have no relation with? And in fact, if we are a Christian nation, why would we even be as? And so there's all these things that don't make any sense, right? But that's the noticing, right? That's the you start that on that path, man. You're gonna end up in a spot where you're like, wait a minute, why are all my accounts banned? All I said was I noticed that, and that's the stuff that really is like, I'm gonna push hard against. And especially when you see like the reinstatement of Elon Musk reinstating Nick Fuentes in this same timeline, in this same time period, it's like, I feel like Elon sees the writing on the wall a little bit. And Elon was like, let's push back against this. Because Elon is probably this maverick guy, right? I bet he probably doesn't believe, he might believe in something greater than himself, but it doesn't strike me as someone who's Christian. But I think he strikes me as somebody who's really, really smart. And he's like a maverick, as you would call it, right? And what's hilarious is I see him operating like that, where he's like, you know what? This side's getting too powerful. Beep. Give this side a little bit more strength. Because that's the kind of spot he's operating, right? If he is in charge of the freest speech platform outside of Rumble and a few others, then I guess he really does have that power, especially when X is deemed by many people to be the free speech platform. It's becoming the public square. And this was happening way, way long ago. I mean, how many times, could you be on ESPN and they would be like, oh, and look at this tweet here from this person. It was the public square, right? It would be who ESPN would reference. It's who CNN would reference when people would tweet. It would be very rarely that you would see an ESPN talking about a Facebook post. It's always generally would be a Twitter post. And that was because even before Elon buying Twitter, Twitter was becoming that public square. That was the breaking news portion. I haven't seen anything else follow up with this, obviously, because I went live right after.
Ever since I've been the talk.
But it's something to keep an eye on too. And again, I'll say this again for people. I am, I guess, aligned with the dissident right. Sorry, my shirt's just way too tight. I'm aligned with the dissident right. I'm someone who finds themselves agreeing with Nick Fuentes on more than one occasion, especially in light of all the Israeli influence. Especially Ian Carroll is another person who I've been following quite a bit, who is very spot on. He generally stays in the realm of like finance as well too, but he is pretty spot on when it comes to Israeli influence as well, and the APAC. And he's really good with numbers. He has a huge channel on TikTok. I believe he is Cancel Cloco. Because I'm pretty sure he operates you can't cancel this clothing company. So his @ is Cancel Cloco. Let me just do everybody a favor and let me just show this. Let me go here. This is who I'm talking about. It's, Cancel Cloco. This guy right here. He's been blowing up here recently, but follow the money. And that's what his kind of like thing has been. And I think he blew up on TikTok. is essentially making these TikToks where he's real quickly with the green screen behind him showing like this. Now this person paid this person, but look at this thing doing this thing. Really good. He's a really good follow. You should definitely follow this guy because he's on point and he's kind of joined in on the dissident right with attacking things from the perspective of like the influence and the illogic or the logical fallacies that exist in these things, especially people say they're America first and they're not. He went really hard at Tom Cotton actually earlier today. I wonder if I can find that. Yeah, there we go. It's his first one here. So Tom Cotton, who I've gotten word from people who like and appreciate Tom Cotton, which to be fair, Tom Cotton is one of the better, I put that in quotes, conservatives. But the reality is he still bows down to the altar of Israel. So it says today, Democrats blocked my bill to force the Biden administration to deliver weapons to Israel. Why is this even a care in the world? Right? Like this is your based America first politician right here, Mr. Tom Cotton. No way, dude. To force our administration to send weapons to a foreign country when our country's in debt by like $30 trillion. No, dude. There's not a single thing America first about this. But here's Ian Carroll's response. You're a warmonger crying on the internet that Americans don't want you spending our tax dollars on weapons that would be used to kill more civilians than soldiers in a war halfway around the world. Shut the fuck up and enjoy the rest of your last term in office and the AIPAC checks while you've got them. Powerful, dude. Very powerful. I am so glad that people are beginning to speak up and speak truth to power like this. This one is like the fire and brimstone, but if we can pair the fire and brimstone with the meme mockery, we can get these people into uncomfortable positions and get the truth exposed. And I love it, dude. Like, and especially because a lot of this is really only possible because of X and being able to unite all of these, you know, alt-right or too far extreme accounts now coming out and being able to be present and be, you know, in these be in these places and it not just be entirely one-sided with you know, progressives arguing with liberals who are pretending that they're conservatives, right? Like we can kind of open it up because I truly don't think, listen, I honestly truly don't think that most people even have a good idea of what the right wing really is because I don't think the right wing honestly exists in the normal political spectrum. They really aren't. Especially because the right wing as it sits right now has become so hell-bent on just simply reacting to what the left is doing, it's lost its foundation. So to move off of this would be a hard segue, though. Hard segue from the Israeli influence in the Daily Wire stuff. Probably we'll see more from that, I would imagine. But we're going to go to the actual title item, right? AI Head Transplant Device. This is from Brain Bridge. This is a video here. Very dystopian. I'll make sure the sound quality is okay. It's extremely dystopian. Just watching it is very, very disturbing. But let me get this on the watch cam here, and then I can react to it as well. So it's, I will let you know before I play anything. It's like a slight graphic warning, only because it's medical. It's like a medical surgical video. Not in terms of like violence or anything like that. It has just got, it's like a medical examiner student learning material level of graphics. So it's just going to show some things, but it's all 3D imagery. But this is apparently their idea of what from BrainBridge, which is a company that is going to develop AI powered head transplants. It's so dystopian, right? But this is the future. This is the future we're going to be in. Let's see. Hold on. I think my chat might be messed up. Is it? I don't think so. I don't think so. Hopefully not. Okay. Either way, though. Okay, let's watch this video now.
Introducing Brain Bridge, the world's first revolutionary concept for a head transplant machine, which uses state-of-the-art robotics and artificial intelligence to conduct complete head and face transplantation procedures, ensuring smooth outcomes and faster recoveries. Because head transplants require high speed, precision, and efficiency, BrainBridge utilizes advanced high-speed, high-precision robotic systems to speed up the process, eliminate human error, prevent brain cell degradation, and ensure seamless compatibility. The head transplant procedure involves removing a person's entire head containing the brain from their current diseased body and attaching it to the body of a healthy, young, brain-dead donor. Head transplants could provide individuals with severe medical conditions such as terminal cancer, paralysis, spinal cord injuries, or neurodegenerative diseases the opportunity to have a fully functional body while preserving their consciousness, memories, and cognitive abilities.
That's the part that I'm like, there's no way, dude. If anything, it's like, I bet the person can, like, they'll be alive, but will it be the same person? You know, like, that's insane to think that you can you can transfer consciousness. That's an idea that, you know, we're really going to get into the crux of, like, what humankind and what a soul is and morality, because what if they do this first one and then it just wakes up and it's like a soulless body, right? They're breathing and they're eating, but they're not saying a word. They can't talk. They won't react to anything. Like, that's what I'm imagining watching this first one, but maybe not, but it's just an idea. Let's keep watching.
The neurons are the longest lasting functional cells in the human body. And according to our estimates, the brain is capable of lasting several hundred years, provided that the rest of the body remains young. The Brain Bridge concept involves the use of the integrated robotics platform comprised of the 2 autonomous surgical robots, designed to perform simultaneous surgeries on 2 bodies side by side within a single setup. The complete robotization of the process allows for the surgery to be performed in an environment with varying temperature and pressure. The procedure begins by preparing the donor and recipient bodies. The donor is a brain-dead patient who has a functional body with vital organs in good condition, while the recipient is the patient whose head will be transplanted onto the new body.
Wait a minute. Did it just say that person will be alive? They're just brain dead?
Varying temperature and pressure. The procedure begins by preparing the donor and recipient bodies. The donor is a brain-dead patient who has a functional body with vital organs in good condition.
So are they saying instead of just pulling the plug on somebody, you will be able to, like, donate their head to someone? Oh man, dude, that is tough. That is tough, because this is like, I mean, this is seriously, like, to me, this is like crossing the transhuman lines, and I'm like, I wouldn't do it. I don't think this is okay. I can clearly see why they're doing this, right, and why they would want to do it. Man, how? You know? Instead of pulling the plug and letting somebody die, you're going to, but how would you, I guess, not ensure that? I don't know, man. This is terrifying stuff, dude. Let's just keep watching. Whew.
While the recipient is the patient whose head will be transplanted onto the new body. General anesthesia is administered to both the recipient and the donor. Both patients undergo tracheotomy, with a tube inserted into the trachea to provide respiratory support and facilitate mechanical ventilation. Our proprietary artificial plasma solution is administered to both the recipient and the donor. This solution is designed to keep the brain and body oxygenated, prevent clotting, and allow for safe operation at low temperatures. The recipient's head and the donor body are cooled to approximately 5 degrees Celsius to reduce potential brain damage during the detachment. Guided by advanced real-time
5 degrees Celsius. Did it say what Fahrenheit that was? Because that's not freezing. 0 is freezing. 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Ooh, man, dude. mean, I guess they have to, right? Like, because the warmer, I mean, the colder it is, the more compact and the easier they can make cuts and move things without, I guess, making a mess. Oh man, dude, all I gotta say is it's just giving me like crazy dystopian, like the cyberpunk vibes, like Cyberpunk 2077. When you go in, what do they call those guys? Rippers. Like I gotta get a fix from a ripper, and they go in, and he's like, all right, you like lay down that machine. It's like ripping open their chests, and here's like, here I give you a new heart pack battery booster, and now your arm can turn into a katana. It's like that's what I feel when I'm seeing this stuff, dude. Like the Wasteland 2 kind of like metalheads who just like take any like kind of piece of thing and like, I'll live longer. They're like half cyborgs, half humans. It's creepy stuff, dude. Let's keep watching.
Approximately 5 degrees Celsius to reduce potential brain damage during the detachment. Guided by advanced real-time molecular level imaging systems, BrainBridge carefully separates the heads from the two bodies with the help of a specialized surgical technique that preserves the spinal cord and key blood vessels. Deep incisions are carefully made around the neck to expose the necessary structures, including the carotid and vertebral arteries, jugular veins, and spine. With the help of specialized AI algorithms, BrainBridge tracks both muscles and nerves during surgery to facilitate seamless reattachment. Next, incisions are made in the trachea, esophagus, veins, and arteries. The blood is then completely drained from the recipient's head to prevent clotting. The recipient's head is then positioned adjacent to...
Bro. Like, look at this, dude. I keep switching to the wrong camera. The blood is drained completely from the recipient's head to prevent clotting. That's terrifying stuff, dude.
Donated body using a mobile platform. BrainBridge immediately connects the detached head to the circulatory system of the donor body, which helps maintain blood flow during the rest of the procedure. It also re-warms the recipient's head and provides it with oxygenated blood. With the help of its ultra-precision surgical instruments, BrainBridge begins reconnecting the spinal cord, esophagus, trachea, nerves, blood vessels, and other tissues. This step facilitates communication between the brain and the new body. The machine utilizes microsurgery techniques and delicate microscopic adjustments to ensure the proper alignment and fusion of the spinal cord and other tissues. To help reconnect the severed neurons, BrainBridge uses a proprietary chemical adhesive, polyethylene glycol, which is applied locally to the spine at the point of fusion. Once the spinal cord is connected, a specialized implant is placed in the epidural space behind the spine over the point of fusion.
Yeah.
This implant promotes the repair of...
Okay, see, I thought it was gonna be all like it's just gonna be nope. Gotta get a chip. You gotta have some kind of implant inside of your body with if you get this procedure done. Like, I wouldn't trust any of it. That implant is so they can, is when somebody starts going, they run up to you and they're like 18, 49, blue, 18, blue. And then you're like, you winter soldier out. They're like, oh, okay, we got our new soldier, man. I don't see, but the way the public reacts to abortion and things like that, like maybe people want this, you know, especially when you already have like the Neuralink things going on with Elon Musk and you already got the first person already has it, which I knew he was doing well to begin with Civilization 6, but I believe he did suffer a setback from that, but I could be wrong. Fact check me.
Damaged neurons and allows the patient's brain to form neural connections with the new body and ensures that the sensory system is restored. It also functions as a temporary backup control device for the donor body. The next step of the operation is a face and scalp transplant where all the muscles, soft tissues, and skin are removed from the recipient's face. The donor's face, muscles, and soft tissues are then precisely transplanted in their place. By transplanting younger donor tissues, the procedure reduces the probability of tissue rejection and offers potential for aesthetic enhancement, particularly in cases where the donor is significantly younger than the recipient.
Hold on. YouTube is not responding. Oh, did I just get bopped? Oh. Am I good now? Okay. Not sure what happened. Hopefully I'm still okay. Just got an error from YouTube Studio. I'll keep going as normal. Hopefully there's no issues though.
It also restores functionality and structural integrity to the recipient's face and rejuvenates its appearance. BrainBridge then carefully sutures the skin to conceal the complex rewiring beneath the surface. The skin is then treated with a special spray that contains growth factors, anti-fibrotics, and antibiotics. This spray promotes faster skin healing, prevents infections, and reduces scarring in the sutured area. Finally, immunosuppressive drugs are administered to prevent the recipient's immune system from rejecting the donor body. After the surgery, the recipient is carefully monitored in an intensive care unit and is kept in a coma for up to 4 weeks to prevent movement or misalignment of the connected body parts. During this time, the head, neck, and spine are firmly stabilized to optimize the fusion of the spinal cord. Life support systems are utilized to regulate breathing and circulation, while nutrition is delivered through a jejunostomy feeding tube. Gradually, the recipient's brain should regain control over the new body. As the recovery process advances and the patient regains mobility, there will be a need for extensive rehabilitation, physical.
Well, I mean, do you think? I mean, dude, you literally get your face muscles, your neck, your spine, your like. I think the only thing they didn't change is like the tongue. You probably keep the other person's tongue. That's kind of weird. I mean, what do you expect? This is probably like a lifelong like process to get back to normal. I think it's really only going to be used probably initially to help people who probably do have like extremely life-threatening final end term kind of like stage 4 brain cancer and things like that, or the brain dead type stuff as well. But the brain dead thing didn't make much sense because I guess the brain dead person was a donor. But either way though, it's terrifyingly dystopian. There's only a little bit left.
Therapy and psychological support to help the recipient adapt to their new body and regain motor functions. BrainBridge Headband, which is equipped with a brain-computer interface, will allow the patient to communicate their needs during recovery. Thanks to the power of thought, the headband decodes brainwaves and turns them into text or speech. It could allow the patient to control other devices directly from their brain, granting them the autonomy to execute specific tasks independently throughout their recovery journey. Because of the complexity and unexpected challenges of the head transplant procedure, self-learning algorithms allow BrainBridge to avoid errors and adapt surgical plans in real time, depending on the surgery's needs. It can also improve its capabilities over time by learning from previous surgeries. Learning algorithms can recall past procedures and outcomes to continually refine and enhance surgical techniques and post-operative care. While the surgery is being conducted, the BrainBridge algorithm creates a personalized recovery plan, depending on the progress of the procedure and the needs of the patient. To maximize compatibility and ensure seamless integration, we collaborate with the top experts in generative artificial intelligence, brain-to-computer interfaces.
I don't trust it. Nope. I would see very far and away from that. That was something I saw that caught my attention that I hadn't seen until that moment. YouTube's giving me the business on something too. I just got multiple flashes. I was like, dude, did I seriously just get banned for showing like a medical video or like this thing? Like, I don't think it was that graphic or anything. Like, my gosh, but I think it's okay. I think it was just straining it because it was just so much CGI. So apologies to anybody who, if I had any like buffering issues or heavy-handed stuff like that. I'm trying to get better internet. I have an Ethernet connection, but even then, with like, until I upgrade my internet plan, it's probably going to like struggle a little bit. But this is like, it coincides with that transhumanist, globalist, Satanist, Zionist agenda, right? Like turning these people, building people forward into some attempt to just like, I mean, this is going to make people gods, right? Like it's the beginning step, demigods, right? Like extending our lives by like, now we can live to 200 years. Now you can live to 300 years. Simple things like that. Forgive me. Let me get rid of this. Then the reason I bring this up too is because, boom, here we are with this. I'm not sure if you had seen this.
Turn the image up.
This image. Let's go ahead and play it. But this image I'm about to show you goes along again with all of these things that feel very mask off when it comes to the transhumanist, the globalist, again, Satanist, more so than anything, when it comes to the evil roots of what we're seeing take place and what's making everything so dystopian. And in the name of progressivism, is it just a climb down the hill towards hell, truly. But look at this. This is the painting of I can't remember which royal family member it's supposed to be, but watch what happens when they adjust the painting just a little bit.
I wanted to make sure this was real before I actually posted. And this is what I got. So I turned the image upside down, flipped it, and put it together. And you can clearly see the Baphomet figure, or the goat head and the horns, in the middle when you mirror these two portraits together.
Like, just like that. Like, you have to be, like, there's no way that it's just like, this was just coincidence, you know? Especially when I'm looking at something like this, it's like they're doing it because they're mocking the people. Especially too, when you're looking at that painting, it's like, it looks like they did everything. Like, they didn't even try to paint Charles or whatever guy that's supposed to be the king. They did everything they could to make sure they could get the painting of Satan or whatever these satanic things is. Baphomet is what this one's supposed to be, right? There's like 3 ones that people point to commonly. It's like Baal, Baphomet, and Moloch. It's these kind of evil deities that these people want to invoke, involving like child sacrifice, etc., etc. But this painting is so not what's the word? What word I'm looking for? It's just so in your face. It's so obvious. It's so clear. It's like, what else would have this have been?
And it's funny that they used red, because red symbolizes low states of consciousness. It's the lowest vibrational color. It symbolizes emotion over the mind, the lower self. So let me know what you guys think. Is this a coincidence?
And this goes exactly with what or the super chatter, Mr. Titan said. The elites are so desperate for sin, insulted by truth. God help us. It's so gross, man. And to think, like, wondering why, why do these people fight so hard for abortion? Why do these people fight so hard for this transhumanism stuff? And it's like, you might not be the only one. Just because you believe in God, you might not be the only one who believes in something greater than yourself. It's just, what is that thing that they believe is greater than themselves? And it's very disturbing to think that. And, one of the best things that, Donnie had even told me, which, Donnie, one of the original co-hosts here, who I still haven't heard from. So prayers out for Donnie. Hopefully he's still doing okay. We love you, brother. We miss you. He was making the point that, reason would have it that if people have worshipped God and Christ and the Abrahamic religions for as long as they have, well, then logic would follow that people have worshipped Satan and the like for just as long. Now, understanding if these people are worshiping these evil deities and what that would mean given the socioeconomic status of versus the Abrahamic religions and what that would do to your perception and everything, right? You'd get outcast, witches would get killed and hung. You would probably have to form a secret society or do things that doesn't let on to what you're actually believing in or doing, which leads to all of these like weird kind of symbols, right? Like one of the most popular ones that get pointed out is with, I believe his name's Pharaoh, but it's a girl standing next to him. At least she's like a reporter. And she does like the as above, so below sign. And again, like these are very, very like in your face, demonic things, but people just want to go, oh, it's not that bad. But once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it, especially when it comes with the Israel stuff and all this demonic energy in nature. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Like very, very, very excessive. And with that, I only had a couple other things I wanted to run through. The transhumanist stuff, that video is insane. But that's the direction we're on, right? Like, I expect more of that, not less of it. So just be prepared for that. It's also terrifying too to think that like I honestly might live long enough to be able to be in a position where that could be done to me, and that's extremely terrifying as well. But again, I'm probably somebody who's going to sign that paper and says like, not me, I don't care. Like, you're not doing that to me. I want no ounce of like, no part of my body or soul to be involved with whatever this process is. Like, I will sign whatever waiver it is. Like, just put me in the ground, do not touch me. You know, at least that's my stance of it until we know a little bit more. But especially watching that video, like the video is just like even hard to get through doing it like medically, like it's very medically written out. Clearly it's all done from a idealistic place. You know, there wasn't like there was a lot of math being involved in there. It's just kind of showcasing the process and how they would have it aligned. But even in that, it wasn't a demo of anything. It was just a video. So who knows? Maybe this kind of technology is still years and years away from even getting like the first initial kind of run. But again, the point being is like that push will be there still, no matter what. And that's the way like this technology works. It's the same reason the argument for the nuclear bombs is the same reason the argument for like gain of function research when it comes to different things like that is like, well, if these companies are developing it, and with AI as well, if these other countries are developing it, we have to, or we're going to be left behind. And then if these other countries develop, you know, what this, you know, the 5th generational new weapon, and you're still stuck using the 4th generation of weapons, well, I mean, good luck. Like you're not going to be battling for very long if you're fighting, you know, a whole generation behind. And that's the push, right? Like that's the, like we're ever falling forward. That's kind of really what human nature kind of is. And so people even make the argument, it's, you know, because our eyes are in front of our head and we're forward facing, that's why we're inclined to always wanting to like be moving forward and progressing and so. And I don't really buy that. I just think it's when you're not rooted in Christ, you're going to do everything to pretend that this isn't the fallen world that it is. And so to me, any kind of attempt to build a Tower of Babel is just worthless. Like, you know, what is it to gain everything here on earth but lose your soul? And that's where I kind of come from these things at. With that, though, only 2 more things I wanted to do. Let's just kind of end this on the INFOWARS one, because I only got about 20 minutes left. Yeah, let's do the INFOWARS real quick. Let's see here. So this is from Alex Jones. So apparently, and I haven't watched this yet, so we're going to watch it together. The federal judge ruled against the Democrat plan to close INFOWARS. So I'm assuming they got positive news in the litigation. It's about a 10-minute video here. But I did want to watch it in its entirety, and I think that's kind of where I'm going to end the stream for today. Let's go ahead and let's get it done. Let's watch this. Because I want to see Alex winning. Who doesn't want to see Alex winning?
Let's talk about something really important. The First Amendment and the right of the people to be able to have their opinions and their ideas heard. Now, we now know the CIA and FBI, and that the FBI general counsel, the head lawyer in Connecticut, who testified to this in the show trials in Connecticut 2 years ago, created the lawsuits against me with Sandy Hook, had PR firms lie about me, make up stuff I never said and did. Then they had defaulted show trials where the judges found me guilty, put on HBO Productions. The judge in Texas went to the premiere on a red carpet and was standing ovations as a movie star in the movie. So that's what they're doing to demonize the First Amendment and to destroy one of the main populist leaders against their system. Now, they also said I was hiding hundreds of millions of dollars and they were trying to shut down my companies. I declared corporate and personal bankruptcy. The court sent in 3 different investigation teams now for 2 years and said everything I said was true and that nothing they said was true. Now, Judge Chris Lopez in the Southern District down in Houston, where we filed bankruptcy, is a Trump appointee. He's a very fair judge, something that's very rare these days, more and more it seems. And the Democrats said in Connecticut, the Democratic Party, Aiken Gump, the largest Democratic Party law firm that represents the Clintons and George Soros, they said, and the plaintiffs' lawyers in Texas and Connecticut said, we don't want money, we want to silence Alex Jones. I'll play a clip of that in a moment. Well, under the law, that's not what bankruptcy's for. It's whatever money's there, they get for their claim, that's it. They don't shut down successful companies. That's not how the code's supposed to work. Well, they went to the judge and they said, we're not settling, and they also said they want to control what I say, and that's not in the law. And they thought the judge would just liquidate and shut down INFOWARS at the hearing yesterday, and that he would announce a hearing on how it would be shut down on June 13th. And I told you about that, and I said this could happen because that's within the judge's power if they have this fake $1.5 billion judgment, which we have appeals going forward on, to do. The judge shocked My lawyers, their lawyers, everybody yesterday. I wasn't there, but my lawyers were there, and I later listened into an audio recording that was online of the event. And then that's there for anybody that wants to go find it and see it. And the judge said, I'm not going to shut down INFOWARS. I'm not going to shut down a successful company.
And you have to remember, the whole reason he's even in this case is he's fighting against all of the things that he said about the Sandy Hook shooting, which was a defamation case at large, right? This is the one that they were going to make him pay over the GDP of France is what he owed to pay out all these families for like defaming these people, because he said, I don't even know what he said. I think he was just covering things and poking holes in what he thought was not real or what might not possibly be true. And so what they're using this as is this is like a nice Trojan horse. Roll it in there, pretend you're going in and you're going to protect these families and Alex Jones is big bad man. But really the Democrat plan was to use this to force him out. Force him into bankruptcy, force the INFOWARS to be shut down, and it looks like he got some light in this litigation, and that is a good thing.
I'm going to give it back to Alex Jones. If you haven't settled with him by June 13th. Now, normally every hearing he has within minutes is in Bloomberg, AP, Reuters, everywhere. Go to Google today and type in my name, and there's nothing in there about the hearing yesterday. There's about me selling off my property and the rest of it, which I've been following the bankruptcy and done. It's done. Basically, have my house, that's it. Fine. I don't care about that stuff. Piece of property, a little farm, whatever. Go to Google, type in my name. Nothing there about the hearing yesterday because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to respond. Now, obviously, when he kicks it back out, June 13th, to the state courts in Guerra, who's just, in her own words, an actress in a show trial, and she goes to the red carpet events as the main selection at South by Southwest. I mean, any judge would be recused or even removed from the bench for that if it wasn't Travis County and the Democrats. This is just as bad as New York or D.C. And we'll do that when that happens, but I have no doubt with the corrupt courts and the Democrats and the rest of it, they may get us shut down, but not by the election. You see, and then I'll be able to go do something else, and hopefully whoever I get hired by will be able to bring the crew in. I haven't done any of that yet, haven't made preparations. We're trying to save INFOWARS. So
That's wild. So I guess he's saying right now, the plan for them is if they're forced through with this bankruptcy, that they're just going to have someone else fire the entire INFOWARS group. And I would imagine they'd have to rebrand. But like, to think that you are going to make Alex Jones, of all people, stop talking about what he wanted to talk about. It was never going to work. He'd probably go to the street preacher route and he'd be on the street with his pieces of paper in his hand trying to talk to whoever will listen. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, yeah, First Amendment truly exists in this country. Like, what a joke, man.
God for some justice in this country, and thank God for all of you and your incredible support over the years. But this is a big, big deal. So now it's more important than ever to support INFOWARS.com, InfoWarsStore.com, to go get the great products that you need that are amazing, but that we have a war chest now to fight them and to keep INFOWARS on the air. But we need the money to do that now because we've been given this reprieve. It's like we were about to be executed next month. It'd take another month to shut us down. We'd be gone in 2 months. Now, 6 months, longer. And if we keep fighting, I believe God will give us another miracle. But I wanted to just have this on record. Here's a little short clip of Judge Guerra, the so-called little, vampire bat lady in little black robes. And then we'll go to a little compilation of them saying they don't want money, they want to silence us. They're just using the court system as a sham, as a fraud, claiming it's for these plaintiffs, claiming it's for people that were wronged, but they couldn't have a real trial. I couldn't put on evidence because I would defeat them. They had no evidence, nothing but talk and lies and things I never did, no one ever did to them. And then they raise all this money off of me and use my name for fundraising and then claim I made money off them. It's all the opposite, run by the FBI, run by the CIA, not just the leaked video undercover. We have them admitting it in court. The FBI general counsel in Connecticut initiated it, went and got the suits, organized the families, William Aldenberg. And so now we go forward with appeals and lawsuits against the FBI and others. That's coming. So we're.
Hey, props to him though. I mean, if I would put money on somebody to be able to actually win a lawsuit against the FBI, it's probably going to be Alex Jones and who his team is. I think it's crazy this has went on for as long as it has. And to think like, because just all the amount of like wasted money and time that goes into all of these fake cases, especially when you compare like with the Alex Jones case, right? But then, you know, stretch that to the Trump ones, and there's like 10 different Trump cases going on. There was a report that I'd even seen that was talking about how the jury was getting antsy for one of these trials because it was reaching like the 7th or 8th week where these people are doing jury duty. They keep having to come in and hear the same old tired arguments, knowing that they probably still have a couple more weeks to go before anything happens. And then they're in the middle of this like political firestorm. Like they just probably want it to be done. And I don't think how you could keep someone who's in the jury out of the news too, right? Like I'm not sure like what things they do to help prevent that or help kind of like keep them unbiased when it comes to like making these decisions, especially about such a huge political figure. And let that be a second point too, as an aside, like for somebody like Donald Trump, who is as popular as he is, like how could you guarantee that you could give him an unbiased court? I think that's kind of impossible to give a famous person an unbiased court. You'd like have to like vet that these people never heard of this person. But then again, what person's never heard of their president? It's like, so you have like what, hillbillies and Amish people come to your jury trial, which they already don't. It's just kind of one of those like weird things to think about, but watch the rest of this.
We're fighting harder than ever. Please stand with us. We're fighting just like President Trump. Here's the two clips back to back.
One of the things you've been talking about on your show is your allegation that government officials are aiding in pedophilia, child trafficking, and the grooming of children. Right?
What do you mean, like what Jeffrey Epstein did with the Clintons?
I've seen this one before. It's so good.
I ask that
That's
with
so
your
good.
verdict, you not only take Alex Jones' platform that he talks about away, I ask that you make certain he can't rebuild the platform. That's what matters.
That he can't rebuild the platform? Is he seriously out here saying we want to do everything we can to ensure that he can't express his First Amendment right? Oh, dude. They're so open, mask off with it, dude. Man, that's insane to just be that flagrantly open.
Take him out of this discourse, of this misinformation, of this peddling of lies, and make sure he can't do it again. That is punishment. That is deterrence.
But somewhere out there right now is another family getting their kids ready for school, fixing their lunches, going to work, thinking about their kid. And there's going to be a day when that child doesn't come home from school. And we know it, and it's sad, and that's reality. And the question is going to be, where is Alex Jones when that happens? Is he in the studio? Getting ready to pounce? Or will you stop him?
He's trying to like give some like heroic speech over like, and the last thing I did was I stopped Alex Jones from talking. Like, dude, it's so pathetic, man.
That's going to be in your hands. And when we get all done with all the evidence, we're going to come back and we're going to ask this stuff. Because that's what justice is in this case.
I hope that we never see someone like him again.
Oh, brother. You got one cooking right here. You got one cooking right here. Oh, dang it. I see that you chatted in, world. Make this gigantic. Yeah, man. Listen. I am, listen. So my parents, listen, I'm going to explain the Chargers fact. I have to address this comment before we go back to the video. I'm a Chargers fan because I grew up in a household that didn't really have anybody who watched football, but I love football. So when I'm watching it, so I'm born in 95, so I'm around 10, 11 years old. That's when LT is tearing it up. So I didn't have a team per se. I just liked the game. And so for me, it was like, that's the best player in the game, dude. So that's my team. And I've been with him ever since. So that's just why. I know, I get all the time. People in Ohio, they're looking around and they're like, you from California? Like, nah, dude. That's like the first thing to last. They'd be like, you from San Diego? You from California? Like, nah, dude. I just appreciate LT. Let's finish this out.
I hope that with your verdict, he can go away. Alex Jones is patient zero for our society's inability to speak without lies. I believe it. He is patient zero for alternative facts.
Yeah.
Like, dude. Like, did he seriously do the air quotes? No way he did the air quote.
I believe it. He is patient zero for
no. Is he like talking? Alternative facts. Like, man, dude. He must really believe these people watch CNN, dude. Like, are people like this terrified? Are people this ungrounded in things that you can just say, he presented an alternative fact? They go, oh! Like they grasp their pearls. Oh! Like, no way, dude. It's just like, oh man, it's cringe, bro.
Alternative facts.
Yeah, there's gonna be a resolution made under what these claims are valued at. And that's also gonna have to take into account what the Lafferty claims are valued at, and the Posner claims are valued at, and the Fontaine claims are valued at. And that is why I've been saying that what this is heading towards is there's going to be a large set of plaintiffs who are going to be dividing up the corpse of INFOWARS in the bankruptcy estate. And over the course of that process, that could get very, very dangerous for Mr. Jones, because there is going to be a new level of financial scrutiny.
Another threatening him. Like, are you even allowed as a lawyer to threaten that things are going to get dangerous, especially in it's kind of wild to me, to be honest. LT was a beast. Yes, he was, sir. I don't know if I would imagine that CMC is going to break his record at some point. I kind of hope he doesn't, but I can see it happening. If anyone's going to do it, it'll be CMC.
And if, some lawyer like me can basically find out that he's hiding the keys to the candy store, pull it out in front of him on the stand, I can only imagine what federal receiver's going to do. So yeah, it's going to get interesting from here on out. It's going to get really interesting, that's for sure. It's already super interesting, but like we say, it's the end of the beginning, and boy, are these clients happy about it. There was certainly a message sent out.
I'm sure they are happy about getting millions of dollars, dude, because a guy online said something you didn't like. Crazy, dude.
Out of this courthouse today, that's for sure.
But we will be at it as long as it takes. And if you're out there right now and you're one of Alex Jones's audience members and you're considering giving him money, I just want you to know that based on the jury's verdict today, it's not a very good bet. And to go back to what Robbie Parker said, all Alex Jones does is take from you, exploit you, lie to you, feed your...
If he would replace Alex Jones with the government, this would be one of the most base things ever said. Play back from where he says Alex Jones.
All Alex Jones does is take from you.
All the government.
Exploit you, lie to you, feed your fears and your anxieties and your mistrust. And the only person that benefits in that equation is him. Well, that stops.
Is the government. Spot on, dude. Spot on. He's based, he just don't know it yet. He's just aimed in the wrong direction, man.
That's stopping today, thanks to the courage of these families. Thank you very much.
Oh, but now the judge says that's not happening. Judge says that's not happening now. Oh, didn't go the way you thought it would. Too bad there. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Viene una tormenta.
That's awesome. I don't know if there's any more in this clip. Looks like it's just an ad. Why did he keep his ad on this video? But in the back end. Like, I'm not going to stay and watch the ad on the back end of that. Hey, no, go ahead, brother. I watched your one this morning on the Terrence Howard on Joe Rogan. I gave you a shout out at the beginning of the stream, actually. You just weren't here to see it. So maybe my 10 subscribers will make their way over to you and give you some views and some engagement. I appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, take care. Good luck making the video, man. I will actually be messaging you either tonight or tomorrow morning, because I do have a couple ideas for what we can do on a collab. Though perfect timing though for him to bounce out, because I was only have like a couple minutes left. The only other thing that I even was going to notice was to follow up on the Harrison Butker story, because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid gave statements, and this is like on the tail end. It's like not really like a huge topical news. Let me go pull this up here. This is from Colin Rugg. Let me see if I can, let me pull it back up on this. Yeah. From Colin Rugg. This is Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes strongly defend kicker Harrison Butker. Patrick Mahomes didn't strongly defend him. I don't like the way they worded this. So just off of this, Rugg, sorry, can't read it. Dishonest. I already heard what Mahomes said. Wasn't very strong. Take a listen.
I know Harrison. I've known him for 7 years, and I judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a good person. That's someone who cares about the people around him, cares about his family, and wants to make a good impact in society. When you're in the locker room, there's a lot of people from a lot of different areas of life, and they have a lot of different views on everything, and we're not always going to agree, but
Oh, really? Yes, you're from Wall. Says, thanks, man. I'll go back and watch the beginning later. This is what I'm making the video on. Oh, the follow-up statements. Yep. I'll listen to it actually after I finish the stream. I imagine you post, what time is it? I'm wondering if you're going to post that tomorrow or maybe tonight. Either way, I'll catch it. I'll see what you say about it too.
And there's certain things that he said that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the person that he is.
See, that's the part right there. We was like, there's some stuff I technically don't disagree with. So he's letting it known that like he doesn't stand with Harrison Butker, but he's cool with him saying what he's saying. So not a strong backing up of what Harrison Butker said, but he's at least not going to attack Harrison Butker. So strong stance from Patrick, I would say like standard basic stance essentially. Andy Reid had the strong stance.
When you're in the locker room, there's a lot of people from a lot of different areas of life, and they have a lot of different views on everything, and we're not always going to agree, but and there's certain things that he said that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the person that he is, and he's trying to do whatever he can to lead people in the right direction, and that might not be the same values as I have, but at the same time, I'm going to judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a great person, and we'll continue to move along and try to help build each other up to make ourselves better every single day, but at the end of the day, we're going to come together as a team, and I think that'll help out as well as eliminating those distractions outside the building as well.
The guys are good with that. They understand. I mean,
So Mahomes is like, I'm sure Mahomes would catch flack for even what he said there, but I wouldn't call that like a strong backup. Like a strong backup would be him coming in and be like, yeah, like I believe everything that he believes. It's like you being like, there's no reason. And again, that'd be alignment, right? But the fact that Patrick multiple times has to kind of distance himself from what was said in the speech, it's like, that's soft. But again, I don't think anybody's in here accusing Patrick Mahomes of being a Christian. At least from what I understand of him, I don't think he is. And I've not seen him proclaim faith either.
They understand how things work. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. And that's what's so great about this country. You can share those things and you work through it. And that's what guys do.
What makes the locker room so cool is you're able to have those discussions and become better and make those decisions for yourself. And so even though there are very vast, I guess, differences as far as those speeches happening at the same time, I mean, you're able to talk to guys and you get knowledge, you make your own decisions at the end of the day. And I think that's what makes this country so great, is that you're able to get as much knowledge as you can and then you make your own decisions. And it gets a little divisive sometimes when you get to social media and when you get to outside the building, but in the building you can have those healthy discussions and still be friends at the end of the day, even though you might not agree with exactly the same things.
I didn't talk to him about this. Didn't think we need to. We're a microcosm of life here. Everybody
didn't think we needed to. It's like, what's that you're talking about? He's like, Matt, they're talking about marriage. What?
from different areas, different religions, different races. And so we all get along. We all respect each other's, opinions, and not necessarily do we go by those, but we respect everybody to have a voice. It's a great thing about America, man. And we're just, like I said, a microcosm of that. And I wish, my wish is that, everybody could kind of follow that. So, yeah.
With so many women just on staff here and in the building,
So the both of them kind of took the same exact stance there. So I guess a strong defense, I guess, for me is one where it's like you would back up what he's saying, not just his ability to say it, but it is a defense. My only issue is that Colin Rugg said like they came in and made these strong defenses. It's just like they didn't defend what he said, but they're defending him. I guess there's a good difference to be made there.
Comments kind of touched on women in the workforce. I mean, what do you tell them if they come to you with a concern about players speaking ill of, women in general?
Yeah, that hasn't happened. I don't think he was speaking ill to women, but he has his opinions, and we all respect that. I let you guys in this room, and you have a lot of opinions that I don't like. So.
Okay, that was based. Okay, that one was like, okay, that was kind of Andy Reid nodding in agreement with what Harrison said because he didn't find it to be bad at all. Especially also noting the fact that they're clearly trying to get him to say something about Harrison Butker. But he reverses it and says, well, you guys are all in here and I can't stand you. Like, so it's cool. I mean, at least they were both consistent in the fact of like protecting his ability to say it. I wish it would have been a bit more of a more base reaction, maybe from more teammates or something being like, and I think there was one of his teammates that did agree with everything that he said, but it would have been more of a white pill had you had a lot more of the NFL guys, the masculine, super alpha base chads, which I don't think they were super base chads, but just the alphas of the alphas would come out and join their kicker of all people in what he said. But, a lot of it too, some of them is probably like not risking contracts. You don't want to risk the media storm. And so they leave him be, they leave him alone. And it's just like the guy's on your team, dude. But again, was I expecting any different? No, but it would have been cool had you had more Chiefs players come out and been like, dude, he rocks. But it was cool. I really appreciate what Andy Reid said right there. I think that was spot on with Andy Reid. Especially like for those who are more keen to believing in just the Platonic constitutional doctrine over anything Christian. It is what it is. Free speech, right? It's an American right, and at least they will defend that. At least they will defend that conservative point. With that being said, though, I'm reaching the end point of this. I'm already at the 2-hour mark. I didn't have anything else I wanted to cover as well. I apologize if this one felt a little bit more jumpy around than normal. I literally only prepared for like 35 minutes before this one. So I didn't have much time to actually organize like a solid outline with like little quips I wanted to say as well too. So expect the next one to be much more back to normal. Also too, I'm terrible with the calls to action. So definitely like the video, share it, subscribe, all those fancy things if you enjoy it. Definitely share it to people who you think will hate me. I love arguing with people. It's actually one of my like top things, or debating, I guess you could say, but it always turns into an argument because people can't keep their emotions in check. I don't think there's anything else I really wanted to say. But again, huge thank you to the guy who super chatted me. I should have said this when he did it, when he was in here. That is literally my first ever super chat. And so to get that, it means a lot. Especially for somebody who's like, I'm trying to very, very hard to push this. Because for one, my wife's pregnant now too, but because like, this is what I truly want to do. I truly want to do the political commentary, to the best of my ability. I believe I have well, not only do I have a fire inside of me, lit inside of me for what I believe in, especially with my Christian convictions, but I believe that not only do I have the charisma, but I have the ability to talk to people. So why not? Why push for it? Do my best and not be arrogant. So I will try my hardest to not be a figure like that. That can be easily hated, for the wrong reasons, I should say. Probably easily hateable just for my positions, but to be, not disliked for the wrong reasons is what I should say there. But I will say, Christ is King. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. I appreciate you all. I will try to proliferate the show a little bit more up there at the bottom. You see, I'll try to add the Spotify thing in as well. One thing I did want to add too with this was add like a little like and subscribe buttons to kind of like float around the screen on different places as well. Just all the fancy things that make the stream look more professional, give people a reason not to click off of it. So with that, everybody who has been watching today, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will also be messaging you later. What in the world? Good luck on making your video. Thank you again, Titan, and anyone else who is in here. Please feel free to chat and comment. I appreciate and love any and all comments. It makes me feel better that I'm like doing something that people are willing to engage with. And God bless. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Expect clips from this to be up tomorrow. If you didn't catch it, don't be afraid. I'll put clips out and should be on Spotify, uploaded tomorrow as well, around 10 a.m. or so. So with that, take care. Be safe. Don't vote for Biden. Jesus is Lord. Know the truth and have a good day. Take care.